Fall Winter 24 men's collections have hit the runways, everyone, and I was pleasantly surprised for a myriad of different reasons. But let's first start off with Loewe's. Now, I'm not even going to show you anything from Loewe's because it was boring. It was so boring. Now, normally I don't watch the fashion shows or like the runway show when it's live. I always forget, and they always happen later at night for us in Australia. But for the Louis Vuitton, the Loewe and the Fendi, I was just about to go to bed and then I got the notification on Instagram that it was going live. So I'm like, oh! So I've watched them all in real time, which is hilarious. But the Loewe one, that was the latest one that happened last night, so Saturday night in Australia. Fizzle. Absolute flop, fizzle, boring. They had just weird shit. And I know Loewe is very whimsical and they like to kind of do these little whimsical things, which for the most part it works in their favour. It's very on brand for them. But Jonathan, Ando, I don't want to see a crochet dress in rainbows, okay? Like, enough said. I'll leave it at that. It was boring. They didn't have anything new and exciting. All of the ready-to-wear, I was underwhelmed. Flaccid. It was flaccid, if you'd like. Boring. Okay, so that's it for Loewe. Let's move on. But firstly, guys, if you are new here, my name is Connor and I like to talk about all things luxury on my channel. If that's something you're interested in, I'd love it if you could hit the subscribe button and the bell button so you're notified when I bring out new videos. And if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. But let's dive into Louis Vuitton's Fall Winter 24 show. I was intrigued. Now, I think this is probably the first time that I've ever seen a runway collection where I have not liked one single bag or anything like that, but I've loved the overall kind of look of the show. Now, hear me out. I think true luxury lovers can look at these collections objectively and pick out pieces or styles or looks where you think, wow, this creative director, so Pharrell Williams in this scenario, has really nailed this collection, but none of it's for me. And that was, you know, exactly what's happened. The theme was like Western, like, you, what's it called? Cowboy, what's that? Lasso? It was giving R.M. Williams vibes, okay? And if you're an Australian, you know what that it means. Getting cows and cattle and you're on the farm, or you work in corporate. But it was country western, and I think, now Cassie Thorpe has done a great kind of review on this runway, and she's given context to, I guess, the vision behind it. From memory, I think it is what's it called? Native American influence, and they've had some Native American artists who have created music for the show and inspired influence into it. And whilst a lot of the color tones in this collection were very warm, I think a lot of the monogram pieces had this dusty, like let the dust settle kind of effect. A lot of the hardware was very rusty, like that rust color. There's horseshoe elements, there's very antique sort of elements to it, but every now and then in some of the pieces there was a portion of turquoise, and from what Cassie said in her video and what she'd read in some of the explanations, turquoise has a lineage with Native American history. It's I guess it's a stone of spiritual importance, so I think Pharrell has incorporated that, purposely linking it to that heritage within this collection, which, whilst I'm not a fan of the kind of warm, rust, darker colours, turquoise, honey, that is a colour I am interested in. So let's have a look at some of the looks from this show. So in this collection, let's just start off with some of the looks, okay? So, like I said before, we're getting the Colonel Sanders vibe with the little necktie pieces. We're getting a lot of warm kind of country western style. Now, I'm loving the hats. These hats in the like raffia or whatever, that's yeehaw, and I'm all for it. I'm loving these kind of, you know, the little cowboy lapels on the jackets. I think that whole look looks really good. And the cowboy boots, like, I mean, can you imagine me wearing cowboy boots? Like, let that sink in. Like, I do not have any affinity to cowboy boots, but after watching this show, I was like, oh, maybe I could wear cowboy boots. Like, if the show has convinced you that you could be a cowboy, that it's done its job. No, but, you know, a lot of these looks I just looked at as an objectively looked at them and thought, wow, like, this vision has really come together. It's very on trend for what he's wanting, and there's so much embroidery in the pieces, and there's so much embellishments and so much theme to the topic, but linking it back to classic LV with a little bit of a fleur-de-lis on the heel and some of these boots and Vuitton written down the side, like all of that stuff. I'm like, good job, Pharrell. Now with the bags, I was like, ooh, what is this? What are we doing? But I mean, what would I know, basically? So this first thing, I think Cassie said it reminded her of a Tesla, and I kind of get where she's going with that. I mean, to me, I don't know what I'm looking at, but it looks like it would scratch in a heartbeat, and it looks, I don't even know. It's giving, I can't even comment because that's what I just can't. Now, some of the more traditional bags you might be familiar with, a la Speedy in the leather. Now, he's really pushing these leather Speedies. And I think what he's indirectly or directly doing, depending on what angle you look at it, is reminding people that Louis Vuitton is a luxury brand. It is almost adding this, like, you've got to have money for it to be attainable. And I think by putting the leather on the Speedy, which traditionally is a entry-level bag for Louis Vuitton, or a bag that you would get when you're first exploring the brand in the canvas, he's re-imaged it in leather, and it's like, no, 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 honey. This is expensive. 10,000 euros to be exact. So what's that, like $18,000, $19,000 our money? And he's put them in these colors, which, you know, pink, turquoise, green. They're, you know, if people love these colors, they're buying these bags. I do like turquoise. Not for 10,000 euros I like turquoise, and I wouldn't want a Speedy like that. But I can see what he's doing. Pharrell, we see each other. Now, the other kind of prominent thing was the belts. It was all about the belts in this very, you know, Western theme. They've got the LV in that kind of antique ruthenium or silver metal, big plaques, and I think, you know, this will be trending. Not so much the Western themes, but logo belts. I think they're back. So get your Gucci Marmont out of the cabinet, dust her off and chuck her back on, because apparently that's where we're heading back to. Then back onto the bags. Whilst not my style, you cannot argue that the attention to detail that has gone into these pieces, they are so embellished and they have so much going on. There's tassels, there's buckles, there's stars, there's studs, and it will be interesting to see, I guess, how these bags would translate into retail. Now, generally with these runways, the bags that are created aren't necessarily what go into production, or if they do go into production, if not enough people pre-order them, nothing happens. So it'll be interesting to see how these bags go, or if they do get picked up, what alliteration, how do you say it? Alliteration? What version will actually make it to retail? Like, because so much work has gone into these, like this horseshoe bag, it's almost like carved leather with this print, and then there's this like significant, it looks almost heavy piece of hardware on the front. Is that going to go into production? Like, is that going to be the piece that we see? Who knows? A lot of bags in this collection do have this kind of, you know, traditional monogram canvas with the pre-darkened vachetta, and then like a rust kind of dust look. Like, it looks like the canvas has been sitting there and dust has collected on the corners in this like rusty color. Is that my vibe? It is not. Are these colors my scheme? Absolutely not. But do I appreciate it for what it is? Certainly. And you know, I don't know who that was. And you know, there's a lot of turquoise embellishments like I was mentioning before. The little, what are they called? The little neck, I don't know, the thing the cowboys wear in turquoise, which looks absolutely beautiful. You know, the damier large check bags are definitely coming back. A lot of embellishments around the chaps of the Speedies as well, like the little metal pointy bits. Tassels for days, just tassels flapping in the wind. Don't know if I am a tassel kind of person, but this collection may be gaslighting me into thinking I am one. But overall, I think what Pharrell is doing with Louis Vuitton's menswear is quite interesting. I think with a lot of brands like Fendi and you know, Chanel and stuff, there's a lot of emphasis. It's a women's brand, it's a women's collection. The fashion shows are about the women's line, and the men parts are merely just another business unit. But I think ever since Virgil, the focus has been on what's the men's range going to be, what are the men's collections going to present, and that seems to be garnering a lot of the attention. Not saying that men need, you know, we've got to help the poor men in fashion because, you know, men struggle in all these industries. No, I don't mean anything like that. I mean, it's interesting how a traditionally female industry or female emphasis, like when you think fashion runway, you think of women walking down the catwalk, you're thinking your Kate Mosses and your Naomi Campbells, you're not thinking Louis Vuitton men's collection. But the status quo is changing, and I think that these creative directors like Virgil and Pharrell Williams have really, they've done a great job doing that. So it'll be interesting to see what would come next, but I'm giving this collection like an 8 out of 10. So interesting. Next we have the Fendi show. Now, the other night, head was about to hit the pillow, 11 p.m. on a school night, and just as my earlobes were about to hit the cotton, my phone, Fendi Fw24 collection, and my neck erected back up and I was like this, glued, and I was very intrigued to see what would come up. Now, overall, the ready-to-wear, the outerwear pieces, the colour schemes I thought was a bit of a snowfest, a bit of a missed opportunity, and it was just very dark, warm, earthy colours. We had lots of browns, we had like olive green, and you know, that was it. But it did pick up a little bit because we started to head into the blue-grey territory. So there were some kind of ocean blue jackets in, you know, some sort of fur or some sort of Fraggle-like material. And, you know, it did pick it up. But overall, the colour scheme was very vanilla. It was very, you know, classic men colour collections that they throw. However, the eyes were not on the jackets because you know, I don't really give a shit. It was on the bags. And look, I was happy, but they didn't focus enough on the bags in the show, and by that I mean the actual cameraman who was filming it. It was more on the outfits and not so much close-ups of the bags. So whilst I watched it in situ and I could see them as they turned, and I could be like, the photos and stuff, not really the best. But first, let's start with this little speaker bag. Now, I am one for a gimmick bag, insert bread bag, but I probably would draw the line at audio. I don't know if I need to be walking around with a speaker like it's the early 2000s and I've got a boom box. But I can see what they're doing there. I can see what they're doing. It'll probably cost an arm a leg, but you know, it is what it is. Then we had a lot of fur in this collection with the bags. We had this, you know, super obnoxious pillow bag, which I'm not sure if it's meant to be a pillow or it's just meant to be like obnoxiously large, but it looks like a pillow with a zip up the front, and I think I'm all for it. I think if I can carry a bread bag, I can carry a pillow bag. Next, they also had a lot of these, I call them drop kits because I refer to what Louis Vuitton has, but it looks like a kind of toiletry bag that you carry by a little handle thing. Not sure if that's giving fall winter vibes. It's giving more winter. Sorry, it's giving more summer. But what would I know as well? Next, my favorite parts were the, I guess, shearling baguettes and soft trunk baguettes because, you know, I love a bit of sheep. So they had the, I'm not sure if it's the maxi size baguette or the medium sized baguette, I'm not sure, but it's in this shaggy kind of teddy material. It's given Max Mara coat vibes, which we are all here for. And then in the soft trunk baguettes, I only caught a very small glimpse, but I did stop, pause and rewind and have another look at them. So I could see one in black in the kind of shearling material. Shearling. God, I'm turning into Meredith. Meredith, what have you done to me? Shearling material. There was one in black, and I'm pretty sure there was one in grey, and I was like, hello, which was very, very nice to see. That is getting added to your wish list. And also these other kind of, it's not really my style, but I was like, what is that bag? It's like a little messenger bag with a little circle thingy at the front. One of the, I guess, I'm not sure who they are, but they're obviously someone influential. They were wearing one on the like the red carpet, or the photos that they take on the entrance before going into the show. And I'm like, how do I get one of these bags before they even released? Like, he was wearing it before it was even shown on the runway. Like, who do I need to sleep with to be in that position? Sylvia Fendi? Do I... While she is beautiful, this may come as a shock to you, but I am not straight, so maybe I'd have to come up with some sort of other deal with it. But like, I want to be getting stuff like that, okay? But all in all, a lot of interesting bags, and it'll be interesting to see what, again, gets put into production, what eventuates from these. So I was not amazed by everything, but I wasn't underwhelmed. I was kind of, you know, an 8 out of 10 for this one as well. Guys, let me know what you think of these collections. Did you watch them? Did you have any thoughts? Did you think it was ridiculous? Did you think... Let me know in the comments below, and I'd love it if you could give this video the thumbs up. Like always, if you could consider subscribing to my channel, that would be amazing. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all very shortly in my next video.